Hello, my name is Jessica Peay. I'm an executive advisor in the Commissioner's Office. We understand the challenges our call services staff face each day, so we've asked the Commissioner to provide us with some tools and tips to help us better manage our day-to-day stressors. Thanks for joining us, and I'll turn it over to the Commissioner.
I am honored to be here. I'm honored to be your commissioner. I am Marta Miranda Straub, and I want to first and foremost thank you for the work that you do. Often unrecognized, and a lot of the time you become a venting vehicle for our angry, frustrated clients. I have listened to some of those calls, and I'm deeply concerned about the verbal abuse that you often receive from disgruntled consumers. The fact that you are on the phone with little time to change what you do, hoping that the rotation, when possible, is helping, creates an environment that breeds chronic stress, not only what you're dealing with, but the actual work that you do all the time. So this stress has major impact on multiple levels of your life. So today, what I will be addressing is chronic stress and burnout with you. What does it look like? Because a lot of times we don't even know that's what we're experiencing. What does it affect in us? And what are the symptoms and what are some tools to be able to manage it? I am a very seasoned social worker. I'm 67 years old. I've been in this field 47 years, and I have worked with trauma my whole career in the role of advocate, social worker, activist, therapist, teacher, and executive leader the last 25 years. Addressing trauma and social and economic justice has been my work. It also has demanded that I learn how to manage very difficult work situations. So what I like to do today, and I hope I can communicate, is how to infuse this very specific toolbox of self-care into your regular work and into the way that you deal with yourself as you put yourself in a situation and a role that is constantly demanding. A lot of this work I've learned in the field, and I am really excited about sharing it with you. Hopefully you can experience some relief from chronic stress and be able to enhance your mental and physical health. These are the pieces that get affected and we don't even know it at times. So when the body experiences stressors with such frequency, such as those constant calls, the automatic nervous system stops working and does not have an adequate resource and time to come back and offer a relaxation response. And what happens is that the body remains alert and in a constant state of psychological stress and psychological arousal, as if you were in a crisis all the time. What this does, it causes a permanent, the causes of this is actually our work, right? Permanent and constant demand, unrealistic expectations, sometimes of ourselves, of the clients, of the agency, or of our bureaucracy, lack of breaks, lack of autonomy, and a lot of feelings of helplessness and being able to impact our environment. That happens at work. At home, sometimes we have relationship issues, marital issues, divorce, the death of a loved one. A move, for example, is on the top 10 chronic stress. Being on all the time is a stressor, and this is part of the causes. What chronic stress and burnout look like, how you would experience it, how I would experience it, is a chronic fatigue. I can't get rested no matter how much I sleep, even if I take off on the weekend. My thinking begins to be disorganized and I have difficulty focusing. My sleep is interrupted. Sometimes I wake up and I'm ruminating about a call or a bill. Financial problems will also put us in this chronic stress mentality. We become irritable. We begin to have headaches. Some of us begin to have migraines as a result of chronic stress. We have anxiety. We get panic attacks. We begin to have gastrointestinal problems like acid reflux. We have high blood pressure. And we begin to get so tense that our muscles can't relax. So I'm going to ask you some questions for you to ask yourself. And this is the way to hold yourself accountable and self-diagnose about whether you're burned out and whether you have chronic stress. So I ask you to ask yourself, am I often irritated and moody? Not once in a while, but often, right? Am I often worried about something, rethinking something, trying to tell myself that I should have done something different, or I wonder, rehearsing how it is that I'm going to do it the next time? Does it seem that there's no time to take care of myself? Well, that I don't have time for that. I don't have time to sleep, or I don't have time to eat well. I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to go for a walk. That's unrealistic. Do you have body aches? Do you have physical symptoms? Do you have a lot of infections and colds? Because what happens with chronic stress is our immune system gets depressed, and we're a lot more volatile to viruses coming in and to infections coming in. The types of chronic stress are difficult emotions. I'm full of big feelings that I don't know what to do with. Sometimes I overreact because my feelings are so difficult and so big. Quick to anger, a sense of sadness or frustration, feeling that the environment at work or home is irritating. My relationships are stressful. Instead of giving me joy or a sense of support, relating to other people becomes a problem. Sometimes the challenges and pressure of work become huge, and we can't let them be at work. We take them home with us. Does the smallest inconvenience become a big deal to you? Your spouse, your significant other, your coworker, your child ask you for something, and it seems like it's so big that you can't do it, even though it may be a small thing. Are you using some coping mechanisms that are not healthy? Are you relying on additional foods, sweets, vending machines, just any of those things that we could do to soothe, to calm down? Alcohol, I just have a glass of wine, I'll just have a bourbon. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're using it to manage stress, that's not the best way. Those are things that are supposed to be social and fun, not self-medication, right? What chronic stress and burnout that we all experience is just for how long, and can we interrupt it? I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you some tools to interrupt it. It affects our mental health, first of all, our attitude, our ability to be available, our sense of feeling accomplished, or feeling like what we're doing is making a difference. Of course, a lot of times it manifests in physical symptoms. A lot of times we're more comfortable with physical symptoms as illness. I can take a day off because I'm sick, but I can't just take a day off because I need a day off. I'm feel too good to go to work, I think would be a really good excuse. Don't tell your supervisor that, but I would love to hear that. I'm doing too well, I need another day off so I can do better and come back to work. Quality of life gets impacted. Your relationships and your job performance eventually suffers. These are some things that we get as a result of chronic stress. Our sex drives diminishes. You're not in the mood in something that should be fun and easy, and something you like with a person that you're with becomes a chore and becomes a problem, and you get shut down. Ulcers, we get ulcers. We get irritable bowel syndrome. We eat and then we have to run to the bathroom. We get heart disease. We get high blood pressure, diabetes, eczema, depression. A lot of us suffer from depression. And a lot of times we're functionally depressed. So we don't really notice this as depression, but we don't have the same amount of energy. We don't have the same amount of stamina to tackle our lives and our work. Sometimes we have suicidal thoughts. If this is the way it's going to be, I can't do this for another 40 years. And a lot of social isolation. We don't have the energy to interact with people. Not because we're introverts, but because we're chronically stressed or burned out, we don't have the energy for human beings, whether we are extroverts or introverts. So here's some things that we could do. First of all, normalize that chronic stress and burnout, doing a social service position where you have constant demands, unrealistic expectations, and not a lot of room to walk around, take care of yourself, change what you're doing to something else, is going to result in chronic stress and burnout. What I'd like you to do is recognize what are those things that you experience, right? That that will let you know you're in burnout, and then what do you do? So if you're finding yourself with headaches, if you're finding yourself with regular physical symptoms, if you're finding yourself with anxiety, with fatigue, with low sense of energy or autonomy, with feelings of helplessness, that's burnout. That is classic burnout. And the only thing to do for burnout is interrupt it. So these are things that you can interrupt. So what's important is breathing, first of all. One of the things that we do when we're anxious or when we're not present in our body is that we start breathing from the chest up, and that reinforces in our brain that there's something to be worried about. So all that cortisol, all that crisis response, that fight or flight response, your brain doesn't know where actually a cyber tiger is walking in the door and you really need all that adrenaline, or whether you're okay. So one of the ways that you can tell your brain that you're okay and safe is to breathe deeply. So I'm going to show you a technique that is very simple. You can put one hand or both on your abdomen, breathe in deep enough that your abdomen rises and falls. A deep inhale through your nose and a deep exhale through your mouth. So I'm going to do that just to show you. This is the simplest way that you can do. This is the best way. You have to breathe anyway, so you might as well make it intentional. So if you're finding yourself, stressed or fatigue or irritable, then this is something you can do. It's called the pause, right? And the pause is with a breath. So take a long, deep breath through your nose, all the way down to your abdomen, and then a deep exhale through your mouth. Breathing to your nose, all the way down to your abdomen, or through your mouth is the exhale. If you do that 5 times, it tells your brain that you're safe, that it doesn't need to produce all that cortisol, that it doesn't need to push all that energy out because you're in a dangerous situation. And what it also do, it lowers your blood pressure. It stops your heart from beating fast, and it doesn't put you in that fight or flight response. It breaks that, and it breaks that by just breathing intentionally and deeply. When you have a break, turn off your cell, turn off your phone, turn off your computer, maybe take a walk. If you can outside, just going outside and doing that. Just allow yourself to sit and close your eyes and do some breathing. The other piece that I like to do is teach you how to do a tool that relaxes not only your internal autoimmune system, but it also relaxes your muscles, because our muscles get really tense. And this is called a ragdoll, okay? So what you can do this on break, you can do this in the bathroom, you can do this in your own home, is like really crunch up your face really, 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 really hard, and then breathe out the tension. Do your fist, and the exhale, let it go. Do your arm and your shoulder really, really tight, let it go. Do the other fist and the arm and the shoulder, let it go. Your chest, tight, 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 let it go. Your back, tight, 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 hold it, hold it, hold it, release. The bottom body, scrunch your pelvic bone, your knees, your feet, tight, 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 let it go. And then one big body breath, your face, your head, your arms, your bodies, your toes, tight, 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 and deep exhale, let it go. And that's called the ragdoll. Some of you may be old enough to remember Raggedy Ann and Andy. We would throw them around. They would be so relaxed that we just lay there. So that's really what we want to do. If you do that 3 times, the ragdoll, not only does your brain key in that you're safe, but your muscles can let go and doesn't have to hold on to that tension, and then later will give you aches and pains. Things like massages, you don't have to be a professional massage. You can go ahead and do a foot massage with someone. You can do that with your partner, do a back massage. You can hire a massage therapist and be able to do that. Engage in creative problem solving. For example, if you're your work is too much and you're needing a break, talk to your supervisor, talk to your peers about how can we do this in a way that is not so stressful. Can we try some different ideas? You all are giving ideas now, and you're trying some new things. So always we feel a lot less helpless when we name it. You know, this job is not doable and I don't feel like it's working the way I need it to work. I need help. How can we help each other do that? Create some me time, and I call me time be time. We're not human doings, we're human beings. So what is a be time for you? Is that a walk on your own? Is that sitting with your feet up? For me, it's every time I can imagine in my mind's eye or actually go to the ocean, I'm there. It just takes me there automatically. For some of you, it's a walk in the mountains. For some of you, it's a hot bath. You know, we're not robots. We all have different things that help us relax. Affirmations. Affirmations are positive messages that we give ourselves. Your brain is always thinking and feeding things. So it could say, you know, this day is never going to be over. I'm going to get more phone calls. I did a terrible job. Or I can say, you know, I am doing absolutely the best I can. I will be okay. That client will be okay. Those kinds of things that to give you a positive messages, you know, I'm worthy of taking care of myself. I can take a pause and use that to take care of myself. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is really, really helpful. There are a couple of apps that I recommend. One is called Calm and the other one's called Insight. And what I love about those is that you can put in whether you want a guided meditation, guided visualization, or whether you want silent with music. And for those of us who have a hard time just winding down, if you give yourself, you know, I call it a spiritual candy bar. Instead of going to the machine and getting a Reese's peanut butter cup, consider sitting down and listening to a 5-minute meditation or doing, 5 minutes of visualization or breathing. You might want to read about Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. His name is John Kabat, K-A-V-A-T, Zinn, C-I-N-N. And he talks a lot about cognitive behavioral therapy and how that helps our body heal. It increases our immune system. He's done a lot of work with cancer patients, and we're able to see the immune system regenerate itself and recover. So if you have any medical illness or any immune disorders, chronic stress will depress your immune system. So these are ways to lift your immune system up. Of course, meditation, contemplation, Tai Chi, which is a moving meditation, yoga, there's plenty of them online that you can do. Just stretching will do that. If you are able to do an aerobic exercise, a swimming or a run, those kinds of things help. So I wanted to tell you that, stress happens. It's not always bad. Getting a new promotion, buying a new car, graduating, moving to a brand new home. But chronic stress, chronic fatigue, and burnout are directly related to our systems being overwhelmed and us not having enough of a break to be able to interrupt that cycle that tells our body that we're in danger and lifts the cortisol, gives us bellies, and gives us irritable bowel syndromes and give us ulcers. So you can interrupt that response by deep breathing. You can interrupt that by meditation, by being able to do positive affirmations. You can do that by practicing your ragdoll. You can do that by taking a break and go outside. You can also do an imagery, put everything in a balloon that is worrying you, your money, your spouse, that client, this job, put it all, imagine it all going in a balloon and then just watching it go up into the sky. Imagining a wave coming and cleansing you of that stress. So this is not all inclusive. However, I wanted to, one, acknowledge that this is part of the work. Two, to give you the signs of what we feel like when we're in that chronic stress response. Three, let you know the long-term impact on your health, your mental health and your physical health. And three, give you some tools to consider interrupting that cycle and giving yourself a 5-minute break to be able to take care of yourselves, to use your breath, to relax your body, and to acknowledge that you deserve what I call be time, time when you're not on and when you don't have to perform and when you can just be. So thank you for all you do again. And please take care of yourselves. We need you here for the long haul. Bye-bye.